Pro Bowl defensive back Trevon Diggs for the Cowboys tears his ACL in practice. First of all, speedy recovery for Trevon. Hope he comes back 100% next year. Hope he can pick up where he left off in the last couple of years, being one of the top 10 defensive backs in the league. But as Stephen A says with the Cowboys, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. And just when they were being more dominant than any time I've ever seen with my time watching football in the last 15, 20 years, this is the most dominant Dallas has been in quite some time. I would say since their Super Bowl years. And they had this is the season where they had real deal Super Bowl expectations. With the display they put on in the few games they have played, granted the competition hasn't really been much to show of with the Jets and New York, well, both New York teams. But you don't choose your opponents. But shutting out the Giants in the first game, 40-0, and coming around and whooping up on the Jets almost the exact same way. It was actually the first time where everybody was taking Dallas serious. Even Stephen A. was taking Dallas serious. And just so happens, the bad news comes and Trevon Diggs goes down. And last year the issue on defense was they didn't have a corner opposite of Trevon. They had a few corners by committee trying to figure out who would work, but teams would often burn the other DB on the other side because they didn't really want to throw to Trevon Diggs. Granted, he gave up a lot of yards, but not a lot of touchdowns because he's a ball hawk. He just goes for the pick way too much. But he really slowed down on that last season, though. He focused more on just playing the position rather than just trying to go interception happy. But the real question is, can the defensive line keep up? Because if the defensive line can keep up what they've been doing, you could get away with having a decent corner on the other side, because you still have Stephon Gilmore, who they signed in the offseason to try to pair with Trevon Diggs, and it was looking like a pretty good move because nobody could get first downs on them and keep a drive going on them. Because the real test was coming up against the Patriots. Well, they're not really a hog-saying offense. The real test was coming up in Week 5 against the San Francisco 49ers. That was going to be a big game for both teams and a real test for both teams. And it really pops the balloon and lets all the air out because it's kind of a letdown because it was supposed to be such a good game. But back to, can Dallas get to the Super Bowl with Trevon Diggs being down? It's a yes and no answer. Yes, if the defensive line can keep up with a front seven. If that front seven can stay as dominant as they've been, they can eke out a few wins against a few playoff teams and probably find their way to the Super Bowl. And if they can't keep up with the way they've been playing, I don't see them getting too far in the playoffs. Still might end up being the best team in the division, but I don't see them getting to the playoffs without Trevon Diggs if that defensive line doesn't keep playing the way they've been playing.